All right, nature versus nurture, how the body adapts to its environment. So my name's Dr. Adam McKenzie. I'm the principal chiropractor at Chiropractic Life Australia. We have around about 60 practices around Australia, give or take a couple. I'm not sure exactly how many right now, but that's pretty close. And we love presenting and giving information out to the community, because what we truly believe is that education is the key to health. The more you know about health, the more able you are to be healthy. And so we would love you to help us, help you, help our communities be healthier by sharing these far and wide. We have some of the links for the previous sessions on YouTube. And so we might even share that to you at some stage tonight. So you can go back and look at things like fix your form to perform, as an example. All right, so we're going to kick it off. So what we'll cover tonight is your amazing self-healing body, why we're all so sick, and how we can improve our health outcomes. All right, we're going to do this largely through storytelling, because I like to tell a story or two or three, maybe 4 or 5. So a true story about Stamatis Moriatis. Stamatis was originally diagnosed with lung cancer in the United States and was given 9 months to live. And this was when he was around about 58 to 60 years of age. He returned to his hometown in Irikai, a small fishing village and a notable blue zone in Greece. And he adopted the Mediterranean diet from this point moving forward, with local organic produce and freshly caught fish. And basically engaged in regular physical activity, walking up and down the island's hilly slopes. And he lived a really relaxed lifestyle, enjoying time with his family and friends. And so this connection is actually one of the biggest factors. It's the number one contributing factor in all blue zones, is that connection to community. And surprisingly, he not only outlived his prognosis, but survived another 40 years, passing away at 98 to 102. He couldn't remember how old he was at the time. And so this is a story of blue zones. Blue zones are places where the average age people live to is generally over 100. They're centurions. At one point, I read an article where the average age is 120 that they live to. And so blue zones have these unique characteristics, and they're basically where people live a really naturalistic lifestyle. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't have that luxury and I'm different. But truth be told, we all have 99.9% the same genetics as humans, right? Doesn't matter if you are black, white, brown, green, or yellow. Doesn't matter if you're Asian, African, Caucasian, Mediterranean. It doesn't matter where you're from. We're all the same genetically. And we're talking about the hard genetics here. But we do vary epigenetically, which we're going to go into fairly deep in the presentation tonight. But this true story is that basically if you change your environment, you can change your health and your lot in life, okay? Because we all have the same genetics. So quiz, on a scale of 1 to 10 right now, how healthy and vital do you feel, right? So there's just a little question that's come up, and if everyone could submit their answer, that'd be top notch. If someone could mute Danny, that'd be epic. Perfect, thanks, Danny. Good roll. Cool. I'm going to give you another 10 seconds to submit your answer. And then we're going to have the amazing Ash jimmy that up while I go a little bit further on. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. What do we got? We got most people are at a 6. Not many people were hanging out with me at 9. Right. Few people at 3. Okay. So if we're at a 6 or below, we probably want to be looking at things we can do to improve that feeling of vitality and health. And so I want to ask a follow-up question. Was the last question a great way to measure health? Yes or no? Was it a great way to measure your health?
No. Yes.
Could someone make me a co-host, please, so I could fiddle with things? All right, and what do we got for answers here, guys? Was the last question a great way to measure health? So a couple of people said yes, but most people said no. And so I'm going to give you a reason why I think the answers are no. I think the answers are no because if I get my credit card out and I give everyone here the credit card details, and tonight you can go down the pub and you can use my card and you can go nuts. Tomorrow morning, will you look good? Will you feel good? And the answer is generally speaking, no. And so if you were feeling 10 out of 10, top notch, and you went to the pub tonight, and got on the sauce, for most of the night, you'd be feeling pretty poorly the next morning, generally speaking. And so therefore, how you feel is a very shallow view of health. And the other thing that we need to take into account is only 10 to 15% of our nerve fibers actually carry noxious stimuli or nociception, which is our perception of pain, to our amygdala and then produce pain. So the other 85 to 90% are all what we would call autonomic or automatic nerves. And they're controlling how your heart beats, how your lungs breathe, how you digest your foods, and all of those things that you don't have to think about. And if you actually think about it in a big way, the human body is amazing. It does all of these amazing functions, and you don't have to think about barely any of them. So what would be a better measure of our health status? Does anyone know the answer? We don't have a quiz. Oh, we do have a quiz for this one. Okay. What would be a better measure? Mood and happiness, energy levels, sleep quality. They're all pretty good, I reckon. But I'm going to go with. What do you reckon, guys? What would be a better measure of health status? And if you have a really good answer, if you want to type it in the chat, that'd be cool. If you think it's something different than what was just up there. Okay, cool. So I think that all of these things are a great measure of, and I think they're better than how you feel as well. Right? But my answer is this. Heart rate variability is what I want you to think about when you think health status. And the reason that I want you to use heart rate variability to think about measuring your health status is because it's the number one measure of your autonomic nervous system. And your autonomic nervous system is how your body is automatically responding to your environment, how healthy you are. And so if you have a high heart rate variability, which means you can go to high heart rate and then drop it back to low heart rate, and you can do that relatively easily, that means that you have great resilience. This means you have good adaptability. That's what we're after. Okay, so that's what we're after. We're after high heart rate variability, right? Not as many beats, per minute. So to give you a little context, right, your body is amazing and it interacts with all of the other energies in your life as well. And you're designed to be healthy. Healthy is normal. Healthy is your default, and unhealthy is actually abnormal. You can improve your health when you understand what your body needs and what it needs to do to maintain well-being. And I want you to think of this, and this is just a little bit of poetry for you. So darkness is a lack of light, as sickness is a lack of health. Neither darkness nor sickness actually exist. They're merely a lack of the other. For health and light are the entity, and they are there to be lost. So if you think about it, you've got light, you have health, and maybe even heat. And these are all places where there's a good amount of energy, and the energy is flowing freely. When we get darkness, it's a lack of light. And the only way to get more light is not to bucket out the darkness. Has anyone been able to bucket out the darkness in their dark room, or did you have to turn the light on? To get some more light. Okay. And it's the same, with health. And so a lot of our healthcare system is focused on trying to bucket out the sickness. And it doesn't really work. What we need to be doing is we need to be adding more resilience. We need to be adding more health. And so if we go back to the original story we were talking about, where we have people in the blue zones, when people change their lifestyle, when they change their environment, their bodies express more health. So your body's amazingly smart. It's innately intelligent, and it keeps you healthy and heals your body naturally. There are so many examples of this innate intelligence, but here's just a few. Reproduction. So a sperm meets an egg, and the cell divides and divides and divides until there's exactly 256 cells. And at this point in time, we put in what's called the primitive streak, which is the brain and spinal cord getting put into the baby. All of this happens without conscious effort on the behalf of the mother or the father. It all happens naturally. And the body produces chemicals to ward off further sperm when the first egg's been fertilized, right? This is the body innately doing that. We've also got cell production. As the fetus develops, the body knows exactly where to position the lungs and the kidneys and the spine and that. All of that happens, completely naturally. Suckling, when a baby is born, it has a suck reflex, and so it will actually crawl its way up if it's popped on the mother's belly. It will, crawl all the way up to the nipple so it can get a drink. And it does this innately. And then healing. If you have a cut on one hand and a cut on the other hand, if we put betadine and Band-Aids on one and we don't put anything on the other, they will both heal at the same rate provided they stay clean, right? And it will take a little time, but it will go through the same normal cellular process. So now we're going to talk about nature and nurture, which is what the topic is tonight. Simply, nature is genetics. This is related to your DNA, and it's your unique recipe book that makes up you. And it makes you you. Nurture is your environment. This is epigenetics, and it's the different environment that your cells will express differently. So a cell in your brain will not express a stomach cell. Your cells in your DNA and your liver, won't activate the muscle cells in the DNA, right? They'll express exactly what they're supposed to express. And so we actually have a bunch of different recipes, right? Depending on which DNA strand we're talking about, which gene we're talking about, and which one we decide to express is based upon the environment that person has had. But not only that person, their mother and their father, generally mother, because we're talking about mRNA, which is mitochondrial RNA, which comes from your mother. And then we can go back up to 15 generations, having epigenetic impacts on how we express our health. Okay, and so examples of this are, for example, if your great grandparents were a part of Auschwitz, that will be coded into your DNA. Okay, and we're going to give you some more examples of this as we move along. So the atomic human, we have our DNA, and we're basically the sum of many parts, but we're more than that. Because there's something special. Because ready for this, if you've got someone who's alive and someone who's dead, they have all the same parts, but there's something missing. The magic's not there in the person who's not alive anymore. And we're going to call that intelligence. Every cell in your body has exactly the same DNA in it, and it possesses identical genes. However, if you get this identical DNA, let's call them stem cells for now, and if we place them in different petri dishes, right? And we place in that petri dish muscle cell, and we place in another petri dish bone cell, and we place in another petri dish brain cell.
Mm.
Those stem cells will turn into whatever they got put into the other petri dish. Right? So this is really, really cool. And so here's how it works, right? The stem cells get put in with a blood cell or a sex cell or a nerve cell or a muscle cell or an immune cell or a fat cell, and they will turn into that. And so the bone tissue, starts to change that stem cell so it becomes more alike. The bone cell, forms. And then the skeletal system forms because that's what the genes are asked to express. Environmental impacts, though. Genes passed down from parents to offspring are overlaid by our epigenome. And so epi means above, right? So epidermis is the top layer of skin. And so the epigenome is sensitive to environmental stresses. Environmental factors such as pollutants, heavy metals, radiation cause epigenetic modification. There are also lifestyle factors and behavioral things that you can have control over that influence epigenetic modification. Such factors include nutrition, your lifestyle and your exercise, toxins like drugs and cigarettes as well. So here's a bunch of books that I've read. Okay, and I want to talk you through a few of them. All right, so the first one is The Final Mystery of Inheritance, Epigenetics by Richard Francis. This is a really, really cool book. And so what it talks about is how far back you go in terms of your inheritance over generations. Jamie Ford talks about something similar, The Many Daughters of Athamoy. And this is, again, about how epigenetics, comes through generations. It Didn't Start With You is an amazing book by Mark Womland, where he talks about traumas that happened in previous generations being passed down the lineage. Transgenerational epigenetics, very, very similar. And this is again where we're talking about things like, big traumas that happen to your great grandparents, coming in and impacting you in your life. And you come across this circumstance and you're not quite sure why you're responding in that way. The next one is The Epigenetics of Trauma by Ronald Golden. And so this again talks about how traumas that happen to you will infect your children and your children's children as well. The Biology of Belief, Spontaneous Evolution, and the Honeymoon Effect by our absolute favorite, Bruce Lipton. If you're looking for a really cool start on this topic, I'd really highly recommend Nessa Carey. All right, she's got about a 15-minute TED talk on epigenetics. She explains it with lolly snakes and marshmallows. It's really, really cool. But if you want to go a bit deeper, check out Bruce Lipton's The Biology of Belief. That's about a 2.5-hour lecture on YouTube. That's really, really cool. Extended Heredity by Russell Brodansky and Troy Day. This is the understanding of inheritance and evolution, and basically how, again, very similar to Jamie Ford and Richard Francis over here, how the heredity has caused changes in different groups of people. Then we've got 2 great books by Patricia Kathleen Robertson, which is about how you're connected with your ancestors and how, we need to let our tears flow because there are things that happened in the past. And so these speak of, for example, traumas that happened to African-American populations way back when there was a bunch of genocide happening, or the same thing in North America, or the same thing in Australia with their indigenous populations. I really would like you to think about how those traumas have been passed down through the generations. And it's not just through story, it's actually through the genes. So it alters your genes. In a recent 2022 study, researchers looked at the DNA methylation in a water flea. Low doses of pollutants led to changes in the DNA methylation and altering gene expression. These alterations persist for 15 plus generations, 7 months, even when fleas were exposed again to clean water. So the other thing I want you to consider here is this. Your genes, you've been told over and over and over again that you are half mum, half dad, and everything else is bad luck, bad germs, or bad genes. And this is actually bullshit. Your environment is what matters most. And you can change your lot. You can change your genetics. Because let's pretend we've got a perfectly healthy baby. Why does that baby then later on develop autoimmune condition? Or why does that baby later on develop cancer or heart disease? Was it random chance? Probably not. It was because of the environment. Because if we have, for example, 10 sisters and they're all exactly the same mum and dad, they have essentially 100% the same genetics, why may a few of them end up with breast cancer and the others not? It has to be because of their environment. Okay. And so when you go deep and you read a lot around epigenetics, this will start to make sense. I'm not trying to offend anyone, who's on the call, because I know that you've been taught, the gene model. Okay. And so was I at university. I was taught that originally, but epigenetics is the frontier of health science and we have to move with the science. So the next one is reversing epigenetic modification. There are myriad of human twin studies that have identified epigenetic differences in 2 people who have gestational diabetes, type 2 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, obesity, depression, and stroke. Similar studies have shown that despite epigenetic modifications, such as those leading to obesity, energy-dense foods, sedentary behavior, and exposure to endocrine disruptors, these changes are reversible. And so you might have heard of the mother effer gene, FTR gene, you're not supposed to say that online, but that one. So that is talking about methylation of genes, that mother gene, okay? And so this is what we're talking about here. You don't have to have the same results as you've been experiencing with your health, So cellular regeneration, here's why. Your skin cells, replace themselves frequently, right? Every 2 to 4 weeks, you have brand new skin, right? Lots of your skin cells, though, in the areas of your body that you use more, replace themselves every couple of days, right? Blood cells around 120 days. Yeah. Liver cells, we're talking around 6 to 8 months. Yeah. Heart cells, 5 months. Lung cells, 6 months. Yeah. The inside of your stomach lining every 5 days. Your bone approximately every 10 years. Right. On average, we're talking about every 7 years the body will replace itself. Cool. So if that's happening, then we are replacing it by kind of photocopying the previous cells. Right. And as we make this copy, we have the opportunity to do what we call phagocytosis and apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. We search around for the mistakes and we chop them. We kill them off to make energy. And so that means you can end up with better or worse copies over time. And so let's talk about this. Right. I want you to pretend that rather than photocopying your cells, that you actually have to go to the supermarket and you have to buy new organs every time frame. So you have to buy a new heart every 5 months, a new lungs every 6 months, a new liver every 8 months. Some of you probably need a new liver more often than every 8 months. And so, yeah, when we're talking about buying these new organs, you have to make a choice. You get to buy A grade, B grade, C grade, D grade, or E grade organs. What would you buy? Yeah, type in the chat. What would you want to buy? If you had to make the choice between buying an A grade heart, a B grade heart, a C grade, a D grade, or an E grade heart, what would you buy? I'm hoping that we've got a whole bunch of answers coming through, and I'm hoping that you're all going to tell me that you want to buy an A grade heart. A grade, of course, right? You know, generally there's some smart aleck and said whatever I can afford, but yeah, but technically speaking, everyone wants to get A grade, right? And so if we're going to get A grade things, we need to be making sure that the resources to build those things are A grade, right? And so if you're not putting in A grade inputs, you're not going to get A grade outputs. Yeah. Who's heard the saying rubbish in, rubbish out? So if you put rubbish in, you will get rubbish out. Period. You can't build something with the resources that are not already there. And the more important nutrients are the micronutrients. These are the ones that we are lacking. We're not talking about the macros. You'll get enough carbohydrate, you'll get enough protein, and you'll get enough fat. That's not a major issue. Yeah. What we're talking about is those micronutrients that come from generally the skin, right, of our fruit and veg. And generally speaking, when we have the right type of protein, okay, so when you have organic grass-fed protein as opposed to, feedlot, essentially injected with chemical, steroid kind of protein, you're going to get a very different result. And so I want you to consider what you've been putting into your photocopier. Yeah, because does your boss buy cheapo ink? Does your boss buy cheapo paper? Yeah, because even if you've got the most perfect, amazing thing that you put into the photocopier, if you've got cheap ink and cheap paper, and then you put the photocopier under stress, because we've got people backed up for days, wanting to make their copies, and we're trying to make it speed up, right? This is the same as putting the human body under stress when it's trying to make copies, because the best way to make our copies is when we are in parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest, digest, and heal. If you're in stress response and you're trying to copy those cells, you are more likely to make mistakes. Part one. Part two, when we're in our sympathetic nervous system and we're making copies, we're also not having our immune system function as well as it used to. And if our immune system's not functioning as well as it was previously, we're not going to be doing our phagocytosis and apoptosis properly. We're not going to be doing our programmed cell death. We're not going to be searching around for the mistakes and killing them off to energy as often as we should have been. And so therefore, we might copy a faulty cell. If we keep copying those faulty cells, what do you think that might be called? Does anyone know? Want to type it in the chat for me? What is copying faulty cells over and over again? What do you think we might call that? Starts with C. Anyone know? It's a really nasty condition. Yeah. Second leading cause of death. Oh, Joe Coles and Jennifer, look at you go. Cancer. That's what copying faulty cells is called, right? It's really nasty. We don't want to be copying faulty cells over and over again. So optimal ingredients are required for cell regeneration to be optimal, right? And those optimal ingredients are twofold. Number one, correct nerve supply. And number two is correct blood supply, because these are important and essential for making sure that the nutrition gets to where it needs to go. Because you ready for this? Even your blood vessels have nerve supply. Yeah, even your spinal canal has nerve supply, allowing the cerebrospinal fluid to take the nutrition to your nervous system. So nerve supply and blood supply are absolutely critical, along with cerebrospinal fluid flow, for cell generation. So the nervous system is the master system. The innate intelligence is already within every cell within the human body. How do we know this? If I sever my spinal cord here, I'll lose function of my legs, true? But the hairs on my legs will still grow, my toenails will still grow, and if I cut my leg, it will still heal. Now, my legs will wither away because they're not being stimulated the way they were before. However, if I cut my leg, it will still heal because the intelligence is still within the cells. The brain and spinal cord, or the central nervous system, is the communication network for the innate intelligence. And so for us to be able to use all of the innate intelligence as best as we possibly can, we need clear connection. It'd be like if I was trying to talk to you like this and I was hoping that you were going to get everything from me talking. And you weren't going to get everything from me talking, were you? Because the messages weren't getting through clearly, right? We need to make sure that we have coherent communication. We need to make sure that we don't have any subluxation, which we'll get to later. It sends and receives signals from the nervous system into the body and then out into the peripheral nervous system. But technically speaking, central versus peripheral nervous system is only geography. It's all the same nervous system. It's just delineating that some of it's in the middle and some of it's out here. So your spine is your suit of armor. It's a vitally important part of your body, and it always remains plugged into the brain and nervous system, the innate intelligence network, so that then we can properly govern and then reform and heal from our injuries. If a body part loses communication with the network, it will begin to lose its proper function and it becomes more susceptible to breakdown because it isn't healing and reforming and performing properly. So I want you to consider this. I want you to think of subluxation, which we're going to talk about a little later. I want you to think of subluxation like tax. Subluxation is tax on your body. It is making everything less. Every time that you earn $1, the government takes, 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents tax. It's debiting your health account. We want you to be getting the best inputs, right? We want you to be able to save as much of that as possible, right? All of the good inputs, all of the good foods you eat, all of the good exercise you do, all of the good meditation you do, all of the good mindfulness and gratitude practice that you have. We want to be able to use all of that to be healthier. But who's noticed that they've been doing lots of healthy things and they're not quite getting the same results as they used to? This may be because those inputs are not at 100% anymore because you're having to pay tax because of all of the previous environmental things that you've done, all the stressors that have accumulated in your body over time. So a really, really cool book on this is called The Body Keeps the Score. The Body Keeps the Score is more around the mental, emotional aspects of it. But what we're talking about is the accumulation of stressors on the body. So if we heal, then why are we so sick? Right? So if we all heal, why are we so sick? Because we're in a state of dis-ease or a lack of ease. If we have a lack of ease over a long period of time, we will get less and less function, more and more symptoms, and then more and more disease over time. Because once the dis-ease, -ease, gets enough, the medical system removes the hyphen, and they call it a disease. But a disease is only a group of symptoms. Can anyone tell me any disease, what it is, without using its name and without using signs or symptoms? And I'll cut it short because you can't, because the disease is defined by its signs and symptoms, right? So we've gone from disease to signs and symptoms. Can anyone tell me one sign or symptom that is not a shift of the body's normally functioning physiology, all the normal systems? Tell me one of the signs and symptoms that is not a shift of the body's normally functioning physiology away from normal. Can anyone tell me a sign or symptom that is not a shift of the body's normally functioning physiology away from normal? And again, we can't. And so here's the other way of putting it, because that's a little bit confusing. Can anyone tell me a sign or symptom that is the physiology acting normally? Under normal circumstances. It's not adapting to be able to deal with something. And the answer is no. So all symptoms and signs that the body has are body signals. It's the body changing it's the physiology changing in response to something. And those changes in the physiology are all governed by one thing. What are they governed by, guys? They're governed by your nervous system. It has to be. Even the hormone changes are governed by the nervous system. And so we've now got the nervous system changing the physiology, creating the symptoms, and then eventually we get the label, we get the disease. So we're now at nervous system. I want you to now think about the nervous system and what the stimulus may be. What's the thing that's impacting on the nervous system, asking it to shift the physiology away from normal, creating the signs and symptoms, and then the disease? That would be stress. Stressors, physical, chemical, mental, emotional stressors. So those physical, chemical, and mental, emotional stressors are asking the nervous system to shift the physiology away from normal, create the signs and symptoms, right, to help you survive in the right now, which eventually may cause disease. And the stress is caused by your body's inability to be able to adapt to cope with its environment. And guys, this is where we get to epigenetics. Every disease on the face of the planet, except for 1%, and the 1% of the hard genetic things like cystic fibrosis. Mum has it, dad has it, comes together. You get it every time, but you have it from birth. Hemophilia. Mum has it, dad has it, comes together, the genes. You get it every time, but you have it from birth. Everything else is epigenetic. And so therefore it is nurture. Therefore it is environmental in origin. And this sucks because some of you probably have really nasty things that I don't want you to have. And it's kind of sucky when someone tells you that it's largely environmental in impact. Now, some of this environmental impact, though, may have been your parents or their parents or the parents before them. But you have the environment and the epigenetics to be able to change them because you're adaptable. So chronic illness is on the rise. An introduction to allostasis, allostatic load, and the chiropractic health paradigm. So per capita, chronic illness rates are rising rapidly. Since 1980, there has been a rapid increase in the per person rate of chronic illness in the USA, Australia, New Zealand, and all Western countries. This increase has been mirrored throughout the industrialized world and is increasing even more rapidly in all developing nations. Since World War II, 65% of the population do not get enough exercise on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. That's one big thing. Okay. A second big thing is we do not eat the way that we need to maintain proper health. Obesity rates are through the roof. Yeah, look at them go. And so I want to ask you a question. Did the genetics change from the parents to the children? Did the genetics change from the parents to the children? So why are the obesity rates going through the roof? Because they don't eat, move, or think the way that they used to. Because when I was growing up, there weren't all of these gadgets and games. I got locked outside the house and said, don't come back until it's dark. You had to run around. I was from a small country town. You had to play sport. That's what you did. But that doesn't occur anymore, right? So I want you to think about these things. What about chronic, heart diseases? Look at this. Crazy amounts, right? Scary. Brutal facts is that people have never been sicker. For the first time in the history of man, children born after the year 2000 are not expected to live as long as their parents.
So how was PH?
That's my children. That's not cool. That's not okay. But we're allowing this to happen generation on generation as we slowly but surely allow these things to occur. So why are we getting, are we getting the right ingredients for health? Are you getting enough nutrition and hydration? You need approximately 1 liter to every 25 kilos of body weight you have, of water per day. Are you getting the social connection that you require? Because that stimulation is huge as well. Are you getting enough sleep? And Kylie was telling me that she was working on a sleep workshop that'll be coming up in future months. Are you getting enough movement and exercise? Because if you don't move like you used to when you were 16, for example, if you don't have the same amount of movement, you now have nociception. That nociception is negative feedback to your brain. And the more nociception you feed your brain, the less able you're going to be able to maintain a positive mindset because it's going to grow your amygdala. right? Your amygdala is the part of the brain that is responsible for negative emotion. And are you clear, coherent, and connected? Yeah. Is your brain able to coherently communicate with every cell, tissue, and organ in your body with 100% clarity? Or is there interference in that communication? Because if there's interference in that communication, we're not going to be able to copy those cells properly. So nutrition, I need you to stop having toxic foods, hydrogenated oils, fried foods, and refined carbohydrates. We want to avoid added sugar, sweeteners, and soda, right? And we also want to avoid starving yourself. Now, fasting is good for you, but not starving yourself, right? We'd also like to keep on the less than, less caffeine, definitely. And less alcohol as well if we add to the stop. We want to go, to more hydration. 80% of your body is made of water, right? We need enough water. We want to be looking at things like paleo and ketogenic type diets with good bone broth, good fats, and clean protein. Sometimes we need supplementation because the farming that has been happening in, for example, Australia for a very long time, when you've got a spud farmer, the spud farmer farms spuds. But what happens with spuds is it pulls all of one type of nutrient out of the soil, right? And puts all of another type of nutrient into the soil. So I'm going to pretend that with spuds, it pulls all of the magnesium out of the soil into the spuds, and it puts a bunch of nitrogen into the soil. And that continues to happen over and over and over. And so if we keep pulling out the same things, we're going to run out of that resource in the soil because the soil has its own microbiome. It has its own nutrition. It's its own ecosystem. Movement. We need to avoid a sedentary lifestyle. Like I said, since World War II, 65% of people in Western nations don't move as much as they need to. We need to avoid macro traumas, car accidents, big biffs, and things like that. I've been working on a concussion, workshop as well that, we should really be talking about because CTE, chronic traumatic encephalitis, is a huge issue, that's a really topical thing right now. You might know of, young Jimmy Brayshaw, who just recently retired from the Melbourne Football Club. He did this because of concussion. It was probably a great choice. Number 3 is poor posture and mobility issues. We need to keep our body moving. And then movement. We need to exercise. We need to run. We need to do HIIT, high intensity interval training and resistance training. We'd love to do some stretching. And we want to develop an active lifestyle. What about sleep? We need to stop our fast and furious lifestyle and not getting enough sleep. The stress and the alcohol, before bed. Okay, because these all, really, really make us sleep less well. We need to be getting our 8 hours of sleep a night. We need a sleep sanctuary, which means no digital devices in the room. And we need to have an awesome sleep surface. And then another really cool thing, and I'm not sure if many of you know about this, but there's a cool thing called earthing, right? And so you can go and walk on the grass with your bare feet and it will help your body to earth. Or you can get these cool earthing mats, which have shown to significantly improve your sleep. Social connection. If you have isolation, loneliness, and you're internalizing a lot of things, you're going to really, really struggle with your internal tone. What we need is we need to spend more time with our family and friends. We need to express gratitude for others. And we need to be joining a group or a club or a class. This was the number 1 key factor of longevity in blue zones. Social connection and community. And so this happens less and less. We've never been more connected and yet never more disconnected as people. Positive mindset. We need to stop our limited thinking and worry and holding grudges. We need to start vision casting. What could life be? We need to get it in alignment with our values. And we need to practice gratitude consistently. Did you know that if you practice gratitude, it grows the part of the brain that makes you happy and healthy? And so I would highly recommend a gratitude journal and a daily practice of it morning and night. Chiropractic adjustments. We need to stop having restricted movement, a lack of alignment, and nerve interference because this makes our body act in a state of dis-ease, a lack of ease. We need to increase our mobility, our alignment and excellent posture, and optimum nervous system function. We need to be able to fuel our body with the correct information so that the innate intelligence can do its job properly. Subluxation. right? Sub being less, lux being light intensity, and ation being process. This is a less coherent communication between your brain and your body. Chiropractic adjustments remove disafferentation, and disafferentation is the information getting from your brain to your body, that's efferent, but your body back to your brain. Yeah, it's got to be able to work properly. And so disafferentation is how you take information in from your environment to your brain. And so all sensory stimuli must come through the senses: smell, sight, taste, touch. See one. Balance, we're going to go with. And just there's probably a sixth sense too. And so neurological feedback systems optimizing feedback to higher cortex. Therefore, it dampens our primitive brainstem and our ability to respond appropriately to stress. And our sympathetic nerves originate here. So basically, when you're subluxated, you are in stress. You're in more stress than you should be. So we need to avoid bad habits, right? Poor sitting postures, poor sleeping postures on your tummy, and shocking posture. We need to avoid stress. Stress is extremely bad for the body when it's in too much. There are two types of stress: eustress and distress. Yeah, generally speaking, yeah, people are today more than ever in distress. Short term, you'll find it hard to switch off. Your muscles will twitch, your heart will beat faster, and your breath quickens to bring more oxygen to your body. Long term, it can lead to more serious and chronic health problems such as heart disease, fertility issues, and mental health problems. There are three types of stress: chemical stresses, mental emotional stresses, and physical stresses, right? And every one of these induces the same stress response in the body. The body doesn't know the difference between drinking poison, a bad relationship, or getting hit by a car. It's the same stress response that's occurring in the body. The nervous system is the control center for the stress, and the function of the nervous system is to perceive the environment and coordinate the behaviors of all of the cells, right? And the nervous system can choose to do fight, flight, or rest and relax, rest, digest, and heal. Right? And technically speaking, we should only spend 5% of our time in fight flight response in any given time period. So guys, I'm going to introduce you to polyvagal theory. Polyvagal theory, you have ventral vagal, middle vagal, and dorsal vagal. This was a book written by Stephen Porges in 2001. It's an absolutely amazing research. 2011, not 2001. Here's what I need you to understand, right? I need you to understand the ladder. And so here we got ventral vagal. I feel connected and great. This is when you're flying. Yeah. Remember when you felt your absolute best, right? This is ventral vagal. And so guys, I'd love you to type in the chat, how long is it? How many years since you felt your absolute best? Yeah. How many years since you were in ventral vagal as your predominant, vagal tone? Because who's heard of vagus nerve? Yeah, vagus nerve is the nerve that controls all of the organs. Yeah, it's cranial nerve 10. This vagus nerve is massively important to overall health. Then you've got your sympathetic, vagal tone, which is middle vagal. I'm in danger and it's fight, flight. So if I go, and then you've got the high heart rate and you sweat and you're ready to run away. And then dorsal vagal is I can't cope. I'm overwhelmed. I'm collapsing and I'm shut down. And so this is what it looks like in terms of polyvagal theory. So this here is the ventral vagal. Yeah. When we've got all of the right things happening with the right social engagement. Okay. Ventral vagal. But we can get to the point of having dissociation, numbness, depression, right? When we get to the point of collapse, right? That's up here. Right? This is our freeze. Right? Fight, flight is in the middle. But when we're in here, I think we've got some little mistake here. This here is not correct. Yeah, down the bottom here, this is when we have our good stuff happening. This is when we have proper tone. It's when we have good digestion, intestinal motility. Yeah, we have good immune response. We've got good recuperation. Our vital organs are working properly. We're feeling really, really good. Everything's working cherry ripe. Our sympathetic tone is here in the middle. This is middle vagal. And so this is when we're ready to fight. We're ready to run away. Yeah, we're ready to basically survive in the right now. Dorsal vagal is the dissociation, numbness, depression, yeah, and conservation of energy and helplessness, shame, shutdown, hopelessness. Yeah, it's basically that preparation for death. And this here is when we're reaching our disease state. Okay. So chronic adaptive physiology, yeah, is what happens when this happens over time. So the effects of stress are cumulative. Allostatic processes lead to increases in blood pressure, blood lipids, blood glucose, and inflammation, which increase the health risk. And so what I want you to see here is that you've got environmental work stresses, you've got individual differences, you've got major life events which may be perceived as stress. You may have had trauma or abuse in your life. Maybe yes, previous generations to you as well. Yeah, we have behavioral responses. And then the physiological response to this is allostasis, allostatic load, or adaptation. So we want to be adapting as best we can. So what next? How can we improve our health outcomes? Your body is a balanced ecosystem, and like a healthy garden, all the individual parts, the soil quality, the nutrients, the water, the sunlight, the seeds, the birds, the bees, the insects, and the microorganisms all work together in harmony to produce our trees, our flowers, our fruits, and our vegetables, so that our little animals, yeah, and our bugs and bees, yeah, they can do their job as well. Your ecosystem can always be salvaged. In nature, it doesn't matter how damaged or neglected the garden is, aka your body, you can always rebuild, revitalize, and heal it. It can always be salvaged. We need to clean out the weeds, the toxins, the inflammation, and the sugar. We need to repair the soil quality, the microbiome, and the micronutrients. There's a really, really good book on natural sequence farming. And I'll think of the guy's name, but yeah, I'd love you to check out natural sequence farming. It's really cool. And then also we need to nourish our garden with hydration, exercise, sleep and relaxation, positive mindset, and social connections. The right recipe for success is to eat well, move well, think well, and function well. So we've already covered this, but we need healthy and nutritious diet, supplements, yeah, because we don't have all the right things in our soil anymore. Natural, organic, and whole foods, ideally. We want to move well. We want to exercise, have an active lifestyle, and stretch. We need to have a positive mindset, social connections, growth mindset, quality sleep, regular adjustments, and relaxation and stress management. So here we are with our follow-up quiz. You know the right ingredients. On a scale of A to C, how do you think you're stacking up right now? Are you A grade with your lifestyle choices? Are you at a B or are you at a C? Where are you at right now? I'm going to give you another 10 seconds to just cast your vote. Where are you at right now? Thank you so much for voting. What did we get, Ash? In terms of our votes. So a lot of people are B grade. Yeah, they could do better. There's a few of you who need to really pull your socks up, and there's a few of us that are doing quite well. I could probably do a little bit better on the stress front, I reckon. But I reckon that my inputs are quite good. Yeah. So the brain requires feedback from the spine through proper alignment and movement and optimal nervous system function. This enables the brain to deliver the right information to all the muscles, organs, tissues, yeah, through the central nervous system and vagus nerve. Corrective chiropractic care for optimum performance. Structural rehabilitation focuses on unique types of posture and spinal correction methods for primary purpose to realign and overcorrect the spine and altered postures. This here is a special issue, and this special issue is actually number 3, I believe now, in the world in special issues in the NDPI journal. This is the leading medical journal in the world. And this here has been cited so many times. This is because in there, they talk about how chiropractic care increases brain function, how chiropractic care increases immune function, how chiropractic care increases organ system function and the body's ability to heal itself, all through what they term ideal spine. Yeah, an ideal structure, an ideal posture. I want you to meet Holly. And these are her full spine x-rays. Holly here is a 14-year-old young lady. And you can see that she doesn't have, the right alignment, happening in her spine here. This is a Holly after 3 months of care. And you can see the alignment and the significant changes that Holly has had in her alignment here. So good habits and corrective chiropractic care. We need to build good habits in an integral part of our corrective chiropractic care program. We build all 3 of these habits when all behaviors are repeated. We are more likely to achieve optimum results. So the first ones are adjustments in rhythm. And so the secret is that chiropractors don't actually make adjustments. We provide a force to your body, and the intelligence within your body will make adjustments. We need to do exercises, in rhythm to stabilize the spine, strengthen the muscles around it, and achieve correction. But these exercises are not just for that. They're to increase neuroplasticity. They're to increase the positive nerve messages, right? And the right loop pathways. And then we need to remove our bad habits, right? We need to remove our poor sitting and standing, our sleeping, our stress, our diet, problems, and our exercise that is not currently enough. And then subluxation is where all of this overlaps. So like I said before, subluxation is the tax on all of the good things that you're trying to do. It's stopping our body from being able to achieve its optimal state. So how do we test for nervous system dysfunction? Well, first and foremost, we'll do a proper history. So at Chiropractic Life, we do a full and thorough history. Then we do range of motion palpation, chiropractic, orthopedic, and neurological testing, posture scans, bilateral weight scales. We might do grip strength, heart rate variability. These are all different things that we can measure over time. And then if clinically indicated, take some x-rays, because to see is to know, to not see is to guess. And we don't want to be guessing with your health. How do chiropractors help? Well, we find the underlying cause of the lack of coherent communication between your brain and your body. We support your nervous system with adjustments specific to you and give you exercises and advice to improve your posture and brain-body connection, as well as your habits and a bunch of homework. If you've ever been taken care of by me, you'll get a sticky note every time I see you. And this is just a little bit that is the next most important thing to help you with your health. The offer is this, guys. To get your spine and nervous system checked, the offer is $99 for adults. All you need to do is scan the QR code here, and we would love to check your family. We would also love to offer a free check, if you come in as an adult for your children. Because I truly believe in building healthy families, not fixing broken adults. The children have amazing nervous systems, generally speaking. However, what we know is that 97% of children develop subluxation from the childbirth process. Just from day one. Right? We also know that in fetal umbilical cord blood in Australia, they find 287 industrial strength chemicals. Right? These are going to be affecting the epigenetics of the growing fetus within the mother. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in tonight. We would love to take care of you and your family. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing it out with anyone who you shared it with. We would love to see you next month. And next month, the topic is immune system, Kylie?
No, we're going to do sleep next month.
We're going to do sleep next month. Okay, we're doing sleep next month. So
followed by immunity. Yeah, perfect.
Followed by immunity. So we would love to do sleep, with you next month. I haven't got a snappy headline for sleep yet, but we'll do sleep. We'd love for you to join us.